I applaud Councilman Bala for mischaracterizing this as a political stunt. I've been talking about this for the better part of a year. This is nothing new. You could pull the records from this council. You can pull my social media feed. I've been talking about this for a year. I've been on this council for a year and a couple months. Councilman Cunningham, you've seen this go from a functioning church to a property for sale, and what have you done to save it? So you characterizing this as pitting neighborhoods against each other is about as vile a comment as you can make, because I walk my neighborhood in the First Ward, Councilman, every day. I talk to my neighbors every day, and I'll tell you something. An 11-story building on Newark Street is not going to fly. And the hypothetical negotiation is not a negotiation. We have not been able to, as a council, negotiate on subcommittee, which is our legal right. So everyone can backpedal all they would like to say, we support this, but this is not feasible. But actually coming together as a council and saying, we like the idea, let's at least try, is what this branch of government does. So this notion that this is a political stunt is vile. It disrespects me. It disrespects why I served 5 years on the zoning board and ran for this council. And I believe that this is an option that we need to proceed with. Now, I am fully in line with where Councilman Mello is coming from. I think that's logical. I agree that we should have, as the mayor put it, all options on the table, every tool at our disposal, including eminent domain, including bulk offset, including finding ways to incentivize this for the landowner to make it reasonable and viable. But this does not seem to be a priority, so let's just call a spade a spade. This is not a priority. So seeing that, and seeing that this council may not, vote this forward, I just want everyone in the public to know that myself as one council person amongst 9 cannot do anything without the support of my colleagues. And they're making this seem as if this is news, when it is not news. I'm looking at Director Forbes, who actively worked with me on this and actively understands that there was interest back in October for this, but now all of a sudden there's not. So you believe what you're going to believe on this one. I believe that this is the right thing to do. Simply put, like what do I have to gain from this other than to take a church on the National Register of Historic Places and follow through on campaign promises when I ran for First Ward to bring vibrancy to the city? We are such a small city that it can't be drawn along ward lines, along neighborhood lines. It's about bringing vibrancy to this entire city. So I have not been more offended by the overt politics of this council in the time that I've been on this. And Councilman Doyle, your chuckle was heard loud and clear. So what would you perceive as the political motives of me pushing this for a past year would be?
Are you down?
No, just you huffed, and then...
Well, I was at the December 2nd meeting where this topic was on the agenda, and you did not raise it, and the meeting was ending, and Director Forbes had to be the one to say, oh, what about the topic? And so the statement that you've been pushing hard for this for however many years, 5 years on the zoning board as well, I'm sure.
1 year, I believe I said. I was on this council for 1 year. I've been pushing for this since October.
I was alluding to the zoning board, the 5 years.
I can't push for anything on a zoning board. It's a semi-judicial body,
Okay,
Councilman.
we're not having a back and forth.
That was
So if you want to hear what he has to
sarcasm,
say, you
Well,
can
your
say it,
sarcasm
and
is
you
noted and not.
I'm glad that you applauded Councilman Bala because he was saying the truth, and the fact of the matter is...
The truth by whose standards, sir?
Councilman, enough.
This is
really,
absurd.
Enough.
Council President, I will not have my name sullied by Councilman Doyle and Councilman Bala. I'm very sorry that I'm disrespecting the order of this body. But
Okay, so please don't. Thank you.
No.
Are you done?
I'd like to move on the amendments that
I'd like
Councilman
to
Mello.
say something. Councilman, you brought up neighborhood lines, and the one email you sent me started with "we in the First Ward," which is completely divisive. So
because you reached out to my neighbors trying to rally support against this, Council President.
Councilman, did you read my email?
It was forwarded to me.
Right, and did you read
You
what
are
I
making
wrote?
this an overt political statement by reaching out to my constituents
Making
and trying to
sure-
rally
Councilman,
against it. So
please
in the
don't
first word,
interrupt
do
me.
not
I
believe.
did not interrupt you at all.
So why don't you kick me out of the meeting
Please
like
don't-
Councilman Bala?
Councilman Bala kicked you out of the meeting?
So we in the first ward do not believe in 11-story buildings along Newark Street.
Councilman, may I speak since I haven't spoken at all and you've spoken for about 30 minutes?
By
Thank you.
by all means,
Thank
on my
you.
resolution.
You know, what bothers me most about this is giving false hope to something that so many residents are passionate about. No one here is talking about what is the cost of, if the city did somehow acquire this church, what is the cost of bringing the church back to what it was? And if we did do that, that cost, where would that money not be going? Would it not be going to Union Dry Dock? Would it not be going to the Y? We have a community space on Washington Street that is ideal, that is just sitting there. There's so many things in this city that we need money for, and to just sit here and say, you know what, I know there's a group of people that are really passionate about this. I know it's never going to happen, but I'm going to throw this out there anyway. I just don't think it's fair to the people on that block. I don't think it's fair to the people that are passionate about that building. And the talk about using eminent domain, which was actually in a resolution that I did receive, but I guess that resolution never came forward. No one's talking about Councilman Cunningham brought up the cost of eminent domain. This is not an industrial property. This is a residential property. It's insanity to talk about taking that property by eminent domain when there's so many things this city does want to acquire and so many things that could be funded with that money instead. Council,
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask you, did anyone do that analysis so that we know the cost?
I'm sure they did not.
I just don't want to
Councilman,
make
I
any
know-
assumptions.
I know, it's not an assumption though. Councilman, I know that you wanted to amend it. I can tell you that I will not be supporting it regardless of the amendment, but if you would like to do it anyway,